We are here for the film In the Fire. It's a gothic thriller. I am the writer and director Connor Allen.
Talented writer director Sultan Ali, and
God.
I am Luca Calvani, and I play Father Antonio in the movie.
Yeah, well, there's Genesis, I guess, is a combination of love of westerns, Latin America, and 16 years of Catholic Jesuit education that seeps its way into the movie. Obviously, sitting next to a priest from the
And
film.
some people just go to therapy for that.
Yeah, exactly. But I got it out one way or another. So, as you said, it's a period movie. You know, set 130 years ago at the turn of the 19th century. And I think whenever you do a period movie, you know, it needs to have significant relevance to our world today. And that's certainly, we were trying to capture that with In the Fire. This is a movie about people who aren't talking to each other, you know, people who are walled off from one another because of various flaws, fears, biases. And we use psychiatry or the study of psychology in the film to basically break down those barriers a bit and look past them and find some human connection. The 1890s was right at the genesis of that science. Wasn't a respected science at all at that time. Still, obviously, mental health is something that we're talking about on a daily basis, and we still don't understand it. And that's sort of what this film's all about. We tend to speak in absolutes now. Whatever side you're on, this is how it is. We don't reach across lines. We don't talk outside of we don't communicate with any significance, you know, across tribal lines. And we should. I think that's what I love about cinema, is that we all sort of sit in the dark. We all watch the same movie, like it, not like it. You know, we're doing it together. And there's no reason we can't communicate across tribal lines and sort of let go of some of the biases that are built into our backgrounds. But we choose not to. And I hope when people see this movie, they get an opportunity to reflect on it and maybe be a little more open.
Because I think that, you know, what Connor said is that, you know, we talk about, you know, absolutes. And while our humanity, by definition, is just the opposite of that. And so when the audience gets put in this place where, you know, some of the characters display various aspects all over the spectrum of these absolutes, and they're forced to question themselves, which is really rooted in our humanness in a way. And so it starts the conversation, and then walls crumble and connection happens. And I think it's an interesting metaphor also, yes, for the times, but also for a lot of what being part of this project for various reasons has been about. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of absolutes, a lot of contrast, and I'm going to say nonsense, but really it's about the work, and we stick to it. Our star stuck to her work, and it shows. And she gave us wonderful moments to all of her co-stars, to our director, I think, and I think that's a key element.
Yeah.
And I think it was kind of fortunate, right, Connor? Because I don't think that we expected, but like it does lend itself to an interesting metaphor, even for the time we live in.
So much stuff that we think we know because someone told us. We saw it, we heard it, we saw it on the internet, whatever. And you know, in this movie, we're set in the 1890s, so there's no pre-internet. But like your character is like, okay, well, I've studied the Bible, and this is how things are. And in contrast to the priest, you know, Grace, Amber Heard's character, is a doctor from New York and sort of the stand-in for modern science of that period. She comes and she has her preconceived notions, and you're both wrong, right?
Yeah.
And we end up meeting in the middle, and we sort of realize, okay, there are things that I thought, you know, God had set up for us. And I like, okay, I'm a little bit wrong about that. And she comes in thinking that, okay, my books, my Sigmund Freud, he's telling me how this is supposed to be. And she's a little bit wrong too. And, we were so confident about what we think we know. Maybe we just need to experience it for ourselves. And
Yeah,
the
so the
conclusion will be different.
humanity, it's really where it brings them together,
Yeah.
their humanity and their questioning themselves, which is really part of our nature, I think. I went to Catholic elementary school and I grew up in a Catholic environment, so I knew a lot about that. And by my experience, as of Connors, I think with religion has been a very positive one. I had also because I feel that because of the non-contrast that we have in Italy, which is basically a one-religion country for the most part, we didn't feel like we weren't advertised Catholicism. It just was passed on to us, and we all got christened, communion, everything. So to approach him, one of the things that I had to hold back was I feel as a human being was to hold back this barrier, to go back to the book, to go back to my beliefs as Father Antonio, because the temptation of giving away too early, Connor kept well, don't give up just yet, your eyes are
Be
giving
defensive.
up. Be defensive. Hold your ground. Hold your fort, and so that was really the main. And then, of course, the language barriers, because I didn't speak Spanish. I had a dialect coach for that. Nobody speaks Latin anymore.
It's a lot of work, this role.
It was a lot of Latin and a lot of, but I think the research, and I will always say that about the work, as much as research as you can do, the magic happens right there when you hear the sound rolling. And you look at the director and you look at your co-star, and at that moment, every single change that happens in the scene, whether it's given by the director, whether it's given by Amber or Edward or Eduardo or Yari or Lorenzo, my co-stars, that brings you back to that being there in that moment and reacting to life, to behavior, to feelings, and to a situation, and having a point of view. And surprising yourself. That's always magic to me. That's the one thing. And in this movie, we had a lot of that. Because we knew the words, we knew the verbiage, we knew it all. But there was always something that ticked differently, which surprised us, which moved us, which terrified us. And not just the horses going nuts or the fires going nuts or the people like the gunshots and it really was
The volcanoes.
The volcanoes. I mean, volcanoes on set constantly.
So many volcanoes.
But we had the incredible joy of falling in love with it as we were doing it again and again. That's the best way to describe it.
As a director, just to be blessed with a star like Amber is awesome. From a purely directing standpoint, when you can put the camera on somebody, even if they're not saying anything,
Yes.
and I'm watching at the monitors, and I can just make 1,000 little tiny reactions, and you're just like, oh, the scene is
So,
gonna work.
Yes, yes.
I was just, no matter what, she's got this. But the really interesting part about Amber that I feel like people don't know because there's so much about her that's out there in the world, and also just to speak really broadly with any beautiful actress, that there's so much more behind the looks and stuff with Amber. She's so smart. She speaks multiple languages. She's incredibly well-read, well-traveled, well-studied. That's even before we started doing the homework for this movie. I'm just talking about her in general. And we met on a TV show we were trying to make that was about a Colombian serial killer, and I had written this thing that was like half in Spanish and had an American character in it, and she read it and was really interested, and I just started learning about her. I was like, oh my God, she's like, this person's brilliant. And once she signed on to do this movie, during that process, She also read In the Fire, many years before we made it. And once we decided to do this movie, and she signed on to it, and she started to, invest herself in it and do the work and preparation. We were, sharing books about psychology, and you're so blessed as a director to have someone who just like dives into it, comes early, stays late. You guys did so much rehearsal, and this wasn't, as a director, you're always like, you're the little engine that could, trying to get everybody excited and invested and bought in and do the rehearsals, and to have the lead star of the movie also exerting herself, to be like, okay, when does this person arrive on set? Okay, when is it? Let's set up this time. I would like to do a little more rehearsal. Let's set up another time tomorrow. That's awesome. I feel so lucky to have someone who's doing that, not just for the movie or because I asked or because she's been paid to or whatever, but because she wants to. It's a huge advantage, especially for an indie movie where, everybody needs to give their all to make something that's good.
I didn't know much about Amber until I actually met her on rehearsal. First on Zoom and then with Connor. And like it's obvious. I fell in love with this incredible actor and how generous and encouraging and she has this quality. I said last night in the theater that it's so incredible because she's a star. Like she has that light. She glows. But she pulls you in. She shares it to everybody. The last person on set will feel it and feel a connection with her. So with somebody like that, across from you on every take, cheering you on, moving you and getting moved, you have this incredible experience, which it's almost translucent in a way. And my God, what a blessing that is. I was so...
It raises everybody up.
It
raises
the level of commitment and the material and the energy all over this project. And I feel very fortunate because after a lot, I'm sort of like a jobbing actor. I've gotten some great stuff and some not so great stuff, and I've done other things, and I've done some TV, and I'm an entrepreneur. I make gin. I do all sorts of stuff because acting always felt always a little bit short of my expectation from when I was at the Actors Studio 25 years ago. So on my last project, Pascal Borno brought me out of retirement for this pretty much. And to have this experience, which felt exactly what my dream of doing this job was like, being directed by Connor, being produced by Pascal and Silvio, who saw the dailies every day and came, oh, by the way, that thing was great. Oh, that thing works. It's so incredible. And, when the head of the parade is somebody like Amber, then, and we just enjoy being part of this. Yari, Eduardo Noriega, come on. And what a great actor is that,
And I just want to throw in there with, especially because the prime relationship between, Amber's character, the doctor, is with this boy. And his name's Lorenzo McGovern-Zaini, and he's 11 years old, going on 30. Maybe going on 50, I don't know. He speaks English. Talk about smart people who speak multiple languages. He speaks English, Italian, and German. Learned Latin and Spanish for this movie. Did I mention he's 11? Oh, does the movie in contact lenses, which basically make you blind. Couldn't see. Blind is bad.
You have to walk him, especially in the dark sets.
Yeah.
You have to walk him back and forth.
And he and Amber, just even in the rehearsals, but certainly once the cameras are rolling together and everyone's, all in their stuff, in their period outfits and everything, the relationship between them was immediately
how important,
sparkling.
Especially for a little boy on such exhausting, circumstances, to have somebody like Amber who looked out. She did it. It's like we were also shooting during. We're still in the remnants of COVID.
It was the pandemic.
So the father to be kept at a distance. We were all distancing. So for somebody to look after him. Like, are you thirsty? Do you need this? You need an umbrella for the boy? Like, and constantly joking with him because this is a dark, dark movie. So this kid needed moments to escape, and she was right on board for that, and really.
Yeah. And to build the arc of their, relationship. I mean, the foundation of the movie is this relationship between doctor, mother figure, and this kid who potentially killed his own mom for reasons we don't know. And for them to build that relationship together
And that trust.
and watch it happen was pretty amazing. And, we, on an indie film, we often don't have this opportunity, but we were able to schedule it in such a way, loosely speaking, that we could do their scenes in more or less in chronological order. And I mean, like just without pre-editing, was able to kind of watch the relationship get defined and translate, and that was fabulous. I'll just say this: I'm so happy that Amber went through something so awful, and it didn't change her as a person. She's still the shining, sparkling light that you explained earlier. And to go through something that terrible and be able to come out the other side and be whole and still be that shining star, I can't imagine. And I'm in the imagination business. That's all I do.
Anyone who suffers that sort of ordeal and is able, with grace, to overcome it, no matter what side you're on, no matter what you believe, which social media you plug into, or whatever your hashtags are, you have to give credit for the incredible journey this woman has been through. And she can teach us all a couple of things as far as resilience and courage. And Pascal Borno wanted her to be here at this festival. We wanted so much for her to have this experience about this work, her work that is not just saying the lines, but bringing us together and cheering us on. I'm inspired and I'm moved deeply by what she's teaching us every day, just being out there, smiling, and making sure that we're all right, by the way. She's like, are you okay? Where's your wife? Is she here? Can we move? Like, is everybody in the car? I mean, like, she's like literally
looking out for everybody else.
Like looking out for everybody else. My daughter's been here for 3 days, and she's like, come, you need to get dressed? Come to my room. Like, she is incredible. All of this nonsense cloud over her, and there she is, just being her, and enchanting us all, really.
And hopefully this movie is just a great opportunity for her to show off her work and talk about something else, and get to be back.
So, one step at a time. We were a little bit of that comeback that we we started the parade.